Okay, guys. Well, happy holidays to everyone, and thank you for attending our 2023 HSDA annual conference, our virtual conference. Now, keep your fingers crossed because next year, 2024, we're going to go back to in-person annual meetings. So, more to come on that, but I just want to let you know we're going to move forward outside of the virtual world and we're going to go back to our normal, our new normal will go back to our in-person meetings next year. But the theme of this year's conference is supplier diversity programs and beyond. So our agenda today for our meeting today is really designed to inform, educate, elevate, and inspire everyone, healthcare providers, diverse and small businesses, to help develop and maintain an equitable and competitive business environment that engenders innovative solutions providing equal opportunities to all business enterprises to participate in all aspects of a customer's contracting and purchasing process to do business with them. Our mission here at HSDA is to create authentic relationships via curated experiences between our corporate members as well as our diverse and small businesses across the country. We also desire to lead healthcare supplier diversity by building awareness through education and creating pathways to potential opportunities for historically underutilized businesses and all healthcare supply chain stakeholders. So with that, I would like to take a moment to ask all of my board members to come on camera. So that way the audience here will be able to see and know who you are if they should pass you in the airport or see you at a future conference. So our new board members coming in to office starting January 1st of 2024. I will be the outgoing chair, and our incoming chair will be Miss Crystal Anderson King from Grady Healthcare. Andrea Rubel, that is an MBE, MWB veteran-owned company, but nonetheless, she will be our incoming vice chair. Removing herself from that secretary position that she has been in for ever since the organization's inception. Then we have Vicki Lyles that will be moving into Andrea's position as secretary. Robert Gonzalez will remain our treasurer. Richard Manson will remain our attorney, and I will move into the position of immediate past chair, representing Premier Inc., the largest GPO, or one of the biggest GPOs in the healthcare industry. Our regular members also, I want to also acknowledge our founding members and our emeritus co-founders as well. So we have Angela Wilkes, which has provided us with a lot of great support since the HSDA organization was launched. Joyce Kershaw from Kerma Medical Products also is referenced as our emeritus co-founder as well. Then we have Angie Thomas from Cardinal Health, Amber Lawhorn from Jackson Health System, Katra Green Hall from, it says Kerma Medical Products, which it should say Advocate Health on there. Excuse the oversight for that correction. And then we have Todd Gray representing Kaiser Permanente, Ebony Caldwell from Rochester Regional Health, Becky McKinney from Common Spirit Health, and then we have DeAndre Thomas from Health Trust Purchasing Group, Dr. Hilton Hudson, from Hilton Publishing, Charlene Vickers from Johnson & Johnson, and we're adding 2 new board members as well, Mara Maddox from Mac Medical, a woman's-owned company, and Beverly Kirkendall from Kirkendall and Associates, both a minority and woman's-owned company. So let's take a moment to welcome all of our board members effective January 2024, and we look forward to working with them as they continue to move the organization forward with innovative strategies. So why join the HSDA? Both suppliers as well as healthcare providers or other corporations. We work together to promote supplier diversity in the healthcare supply chain. So this is the only organization that I'm aware of that focuses primarily on healthcare. And we look to identify innovative strategies in the healthcare industry. Gain an understanding of how HSDA subscribers incorporate supplier diversity into their business practices. Attend discussions on best practices utilized by all stakeholders, including manufacturers like a Johnson & Johnson, distributors like Owens & Minor and Cardinal, historically underutilized businesses like Kerma, group purchasing organization like Health Trust, Premier, etc., and also our healthcare providers, Advocate Health, Common Spirit Healthcare, etc. Discuss best practices and brainstorm on how to improve supplier diversity in healthcare, gain ideas to enhance our respective organizations' supplier diversity initiatives, and then meet key supply chain stakeholders across the healthcare supply chain. So this organization also provides a robust strategy and how we can all network with one another to design innovative solutions as well. Okay, I would like to start off, and we're going to be thanking our sponsors all throughout the program, but thank you to our platinum sponsors, both Owens & Minor and Cardinal, our gold sponsors. Thank you very much, Jackson Health System and Zones, our silver sponsor, Common Spirit Health. And then last but not least, our bronze sponsors, Health Trust, Purchasing Group, as well as Kerma. I'm going to do a quick review of our agenda today before I introduce our first session, which will be moderated by the one and only Vicki Lyles. So today we're going to have, I'm just going to do a summary if you don't mind. So we're going to have panel discussions. We're going to have featured diverse suppliers represented in their relationship through Grady Health under the great guidance of Crystal King, our incoming chair. We're also going to have some breakout sessions where all of the suppliers on the call get an opportunity to select 2 different breakout sessions, and the breakout sessions I will provide you with additional information, but we're going to have rooms that will be moderated by the GPOs, the manufacturers, the distributors, and the providers. And with that said, we're going to also wrap it up with our Earl G. Rubel Award at the end. And we're, again, going to thank our sponsors all throughout our meeting today. Now I can introduce our first session, Ms. Vicki Lyles, who will be moderating our session. Okay. The name of the session is Beyond Supplier Diversity Programs. That also is our theme for this year's conference as well. But Vicki Lyles is the Vice President of Industry Associations at Owens & Minor, where she leads the company's involvement with industry and trade organizations. She serves on the executive board for the Professional Women in Healthcare as the immediate past chair, and also serves on the board of this organization, Healthcare Supplier Diversity Alliance. Vicki speaks, moderates, and facilitates workshops at industry events on topics such as leadership and career development, as well as industry topics such as healthcare supply chain, supplier diversity, and clinical inventory solutions. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Vicki Lyles to get us started with our first session.
So I have had the pleasure of moderating this panel, this session, for the last 3 years. The first time I did it, we talked about supply chain resiliency and the future of supply chain. It was all about, preparing us for the future after COVID. And then the next year, we talked about how do suppliers get their products into a hospital setting. So we had some great leaders that came on and talked about how do you sell into a hospital. This year, we wanted to talk about supplier diversity programs. There are providers out there that don't have programs, and even large companies that don't have supplier diversity programs. And then there's others that are just starting a program. And then there's others like our company, we have a long history of supplier diversity, but really we want to take it to the next level. And how do we do that? So today's panelists are going to help us learn more about how do we take our programs to the next level. They have strong supplier diversity programs, and they've gone beyond just the standard programs into their communities and doing other work. So we want to learn from them today. So on my panel, I have Todd Gray, the Director of Supplier Diversity at Kaiser Permanente. I have Andrea Ainsworth, Vice President of Strategic Sourcing and Supply Chain Management. And last but not least, we have George Robinson II, Director of Supplier Diversity and Inclusion at UPMC. So all three are from large health systems that have wonderful programs. And the first question that I'm going to ask them, I want each of them to kind of share a little bit more about themselves, their health system, and a little bit about their supplier diversity programs. So let's get started with Todd first.
All right. Good morning, all, and thank you, Vicki. Can you guys hear me well?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Really good to be here today. I'm Todd Gray, National Director of Supply Diversity at Kaiser Permanente. This year, next year will mark year 20 for my work in supplier diversity. First half, financial services. Second half has been focused keenly in the healthcare space. Really excited to join this panel today to talk about opportunities, strategy, how we innovate supply diversity to the next level, and then how we forge this work to make even deeper impacts in our community around community benefit programming and how we approach projects and procurement as a whole with a purpose. So excited to be here today, and thank you, Vicki, for convening this panel.
Thank you. Adrian?
Great. Yeah, I'm Adrian Ainsworth. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Sourcing with Advocate Health. I lead contract strategy and value analysis for pharmacy, supplies, implants, purchase services, capital equipment, and planning. We are the third largest not-for-profit healthcare system in the United States. We have 68 hospitals and over 1,000 sites of care across North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Wisconsin, and Illinois. We employ 155,000 teammates and serve nearly 6 million patients. We have a broad reach, and we really feel that our diversity program can substantially impact the communities we serve. So one of our core tenets here at Advocate is really improving the healthcare for everyone. And that begins at lifting those up that are underserved. Our goal is to create a healthier rural and urban community population. And we're investing $2 billion to disrupt the root causes of healthcare inequities.
Thank you. So, George, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm George Robinson, Director of Supplier Diversity and Inclusion at UPMC. It's a pleasure to be on this panel to give just a brief highlight of UPMC. UPMC is the former University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. We're headquartered in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we have facilities across New York, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. Key to note about UPMC, we're the largest employer in the state of Pennsylvania, roughly 95,000 employees. We're actually in the process of acquiring our 44th health system just south of Pittsburgh. Unique to our supplier diversity program. So we celebrated our 25th anniversary of supplier diversity and inclusion 2 years ago. Unofficially, we've had a program for roughly 30 years. And across that nexus, we've made tremendous strides in our connection to diverse vendors and the model of UPMC executing life-changing medicine.
So as all of you can see, these are three very large health systems and have, a lot to manage. So each of you have a supplier diversity program that's been around for some time. I'd love for each of you to tell us a little bit about the program itself. Like, what are the services that you're providing under your supplier diversity program? And I'd like to start with George.
Thank you. So our supplier diversity program, as I mentioned, has been around for quite a while. I am actually the third supplier diversity director in the organization's history. I was fortunate enough to be under the tutelage of Tony Silva, who in every example I give a lot of credit to, because she laid a tremendous foundation across UPMC in making certain that we as an organization had strong tenets and foundations of executing supplier diversity. As many of you are aware, UPMC is a strong supporter of national certifying agencies. But here recently, we formed a unique partnership with Owens & Minor as a part of our distribution network. So important to UPMC Supplier Diversity and Inclusion Program is our recent business education and development system, which was launched my second year here at UPMC. And so we have a unique education and development system that's co-led by the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center. What we found across that nexus of the 6 years that I will have been here since April of 2018 is that so many of our vendors that are part of that community conversation, that local or regional conversation, were not educated, they were not prepared, they were not experienced enough to engage our supply chain as well as our UPMC health plan organization. So yes, that's unique. UPMC does actually have an insurance services division. And so I took the task on in developing, along with the University of Pittsburgh Small Business Development Center, our Essentials for Success programming, where we provide directed workshops for small and diverse businesses to better understand how to do business with UPMC. So there was a much longer range of focus in this example because we realized that we had to seed bed. We weren't going to get these high conversions just because we start doing this community activity. This was just a part of a much larger matrix. And so in that 4.5-year cycle, we have now trained over 2,000 businesses in 4 states, representing the expanse of UPMC's coverage. And we're now beginning to see that conversion of Essentials for Success participant into vendor with UPMC. Another key aspect of UPMC's programming includes our relationship with Turner Construction Company. And so we have been the lead sponsor of Turner School of Construction Management here in the state of Pennsylvania, specifically within Western Pennsylvania. We have since partnered with other community members that are looking to help grow their construction management relationship with diverse vendors that go through the Turner School of Construction Management curriculum. And then finally, one of our hallmark programs is our SHARE program. SHARE was developed roughly 9 years ago as a call to action from UPMC to our community corporations that espouse supplier diversity tenets, but did not have adequate lists of diverse vendors to help support their supplier diversity programs. And so in the past 9 years, we've helped to partner probably 100 or so corporations across Pittsburgh, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and now in Reading, Pennsylvania, where we share our list of diverse vendors and we collaboratively work together across those corporate centers of operation here in Pennsylvania to help uplift diverse vendor utilization within those marketplaces. So those are just 3 highlights that I'd like to share about UPMC.
I love that, not only are you providing education to those in the community, but I love that you're sharing the supplier information that are in your community that helps those suppliers grow their business within the community and within the Pittsburgh area. That's wonderful. So next, I'd like to ask Adrian.
Great, thank you. So from an advocate perspective, if you're not familiar with our health system, it was actually the merger of two large health systems, Advocate Aurora Health in the Midwest and then Atrium Health in the Southeast, that came together about a year ago, as of last week, actually. So we have a very robust supplier diversity program that we continue to enhance, and working through all of the integration details that we need to do to kind of move in one direction. But I'll just highlight some of the bigger programs that Advocate Health is focusing on, and where we think we're going to go in the future. So for this year, we have a very lofty supplier diversity goal. 512 million is expected to be spent through the end of the year in diverse supplier spend. We utilize a couple different methods of tracking. The HAN method, which many of you may be familiar with, Healthcare Anchor Network, focusing specifically on MB and WB businesses. And then also an all-in method to really help expand our focus into LGBTQ plus and veteran status, among others. We also have a robust Tier 2 program in our Midwest market. We try to target all businesses that we do over $1 million of business with. And we anticipate expanding that system-wide in 2024. We have a number of ancillary programs related to the supply chain that I think it's important to highlight. We have a construction mentoring cohort program. This is a select group of vendors that have been recommended by our vendors in the construction space to really help coach up and, to George's earlier point, really help understand and navigate a system of our size and enhance their business as they move forward to be more successful and win more contracts with us. We also host a quick pay program. And that is an enterprise-wide program where we speed up that payment process for our diverse suppliers to really help make sure that they continue to reinvest in their business. We also have a ROC Charlotte, which is an innovative new initiative to train high school students to get into the construction trades. We have a pretty substantial staffing issue in that space. And, the more that we can invest in our local communities, particularly those of color, we can continue to bring up our not just our business, but also our communities. Something that's really exciting and I'd love to highlight is Portal, which stands for Partnership Outreach and Research to Accelerate Learning. That is a brick and mortar building that's hosted on the University of North Carolina Charlotte campus. Advocate Health has a Center for Diversity and Entrepreneurship office there, along with a number of other very large anchors that host resources for diverse and minority vendors, equipping them with tools, education needed to scale their business, secure contracts, not just with us, but other large businesses within Charlotte. And, really having that networking ability and access to large companies in the finance industry, in the distribution industry, is really helping those smaller businesses, get up on their feet and do business with us. We also have the Southeast NMSDC office there, as well as the Women's Business Center, the regional member of the National Institute of Minority Economic Development. So I'm really excited to have a physical location to really kind of help with that mentorship. We also host the supply chain, hosts a quarterly discovery day at Portal or other locations to really bring in those suppliers face to face in a post-pandemic world. That is not typical. So we really try to carve out time in our executive supply chain team to sit and talk to vendors and identify new opportunities to bring suppliers into our ecosystem. And then finally, I'd highlight the national advocacy that Advocate really tries to participate in. We are members of NMSDC, WeBank. We have members on the Premier Supplier Diversity Committee and Task Force. We are part of the Healthcare Anchor Network, several local and regional diversity councils. And then last but not least, I'd like to highlight with HSDA, Kadra Green Hall, who was mentioned earlier, is just joined the board and is our supplier diversity program lead for a Southeast division. So, I really appreciate my organization's all-in approach as we look at this this challenge, and hopefully we can continue to learn from this group and understand what other systems are doing as well.
Thank you for that. And, you know, the whole idea of the portal where you're bringing all of those organizations together is, I really want to come visit that sometime. I know Manuel had offered that at one point, so I definitely want to come see that space. And next, I'd like to invite Todd to tell us a little bit about Kaiser Permanente's program that I know has been around for a long time, and you continue to expand it. So
Great, thank you. And just to lay out the framework, you know, Kaiser Permanente, we're a provider, also an insurer. We insure over 13 million of our members across the United States. We operate in 8 markets, spanning from Hawaii, Northern and Southern California, 2 separate markets, Washington State, Northwest, which includes Oregon, Mid-Atlantic, DC, Maryland, Virginia, Colorado, and Georgia. And across that span, we operate over 700 medical office buildings and over 39 hospitals, 20 billion in annual procurement. And in each market, one of the key strategies of our supply diversity program is to make it local and to make it unique. For instance, in our Hawaii market, one of the key focuses is keeping spend local to the island state of Hawaii. Making sure where we have the opportunities that we are sourcing local on top of sourcing diverse firms, making sure they're local to that economy to build that population. You look across the program, as some of the programs we have in Georgia and Mid-Atlantic states, very unique. We're doing a lot of development. We have a multi-billion-dollar annual capital program, not only building new facilities, but maintaining our facilities. And a fun fact, I often like to share, you know, when you look at Kaiser Permanente, we actually started as a construction company back in the 1940s and worked into healthcare. And with that, we maintain a program where we operate as a general contractor. So we hire subcontractors where we GC work in our California markets. And then we hire a host of, we have a program called a provider program in our national facilities group that houses over 150 GCs, trade contractors as well, that partner across to create JV partnerships from a GC perspective and ensure that they're hitting our tier 2 supply diversity goals on all capital programming. An additional area of the organization is our impact spending group. So everything outside of capital, construction, architectural spend falls under impact spending. That's where you have our partnerships with the GPOs, our medical equipment purchasing, our partnerships from a HR and a staffing perspective, and every other commodity in which we source across the organization. I like to break down our supply diversity program into 3 different areas. Measurement and accountability. And that's where we reach out for all of our senior and executive leadership, not only to have goals, but to have an appointed representative in each market that serves on our National Supply Diversity Council, which is a working committee, not only looking at opportunities and seeing what's coming down the pipeline, but being present at events to engage members and vendors that are out in the community and bringing that forward. We do a quarterly review of not just the dollars we have spent with diverse suppliers, but we look at the diverse suppliers also that are in our portal, that have registered with us, that have done financial qualifications in commodities where that's required, that have zero spend. And we focus on those zero spend suppliers to be intentional to invite them to new opportunities to bid as well. Next is partnership development. We work very closely with organizations across the United States, affiliate councils that help support our supply diversity initiatives and take our work further. And then next is education and awareness. We are always partnering with organizations and internally helping our suppliers to go in the direction our organization is. One of the key tenets of our impact spending goal and group is not just sourcing diversity, but bringing our suppliers along our sustainability journey, our environmental programs and focuses and commitments across the industry as well. And last year, we wrapped with over just 3.1 billion in spend with diverse suppliers. And in 2024, I know that goal will get stretched even greater. But there's a lot of opportunity at hand, and look forward as we continue this discussion to explore it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. I love what you said at the very beginning, which was, you know, we're going to make it local and make it unique, which I think is really important. Different areas have different needs. So, George, some of the providers in the audience have supplier diversity programs. Some may just be starting up. Can you just give some steps or some important things that they should do in order to get a supplier diversity program really off the ground and started?
Sure. So it's ironic you're asking the question. I'm actually in the process of writing a playbook for supplier diversity organizations in the post Supreme Court decision in how to navigate these new spaces. And so when we talk about young burgeoning programs, I like to sort of look at it as a two-way door. As you're beginning your program launch, one of the critical things that you have to understand on one side of the door is your business corporate culture, recognizing how your organization is channeling its discussions and how it's providing leadership support with respect to starting and supporting a young program. Recognizing that it's very important to have that buy-in, not only at your immediate level of responsibility and who you're reporting to, but to have executive sponsorship where you can have senior leadership, executive leadership, talking about supplier diversity, being a part of the culture where they're going to be speaking in rooms where you're not going to be present as that supplier diversity professional. So, when we look internally, that's been something that's very important at UPMC. And that conversation continues all throughout the growth and years of your supplier diversity programs experience. The other side of that door is how are you engaging externally amongst your diverse vending community? Recognizing, yes, we are out of a pandemic. Lord knows when the next one's coming. It seems like on the news, they're talking about everything from RSV to new COVID strains, et cetera. And so you have to be able to stretch your outreach to your diverse vending community to meet them where they are. One of our critical tenets within UPMC is we're not in the office, and I made a strategic decision as the director that we only come in the office one day a week. All the other days, we need to be focused on touching base with our diverse vendors and building those alignments across buying opportunities within UPMC. And that has taken a whole new shape as we have gone through change. So many programs have gone through change post-pandemic. And so, again, being able to meet those vendors and have a unique relationship within your supply chain organization and your enterprise, that's the unique thing with UPMC. Though we're housed in supply chain, I've made it a personal responsibility to guide our supplier diversity program to represent the entire enterprise. So it's not just supply chain. We have the capacity to cross all of our buying units, UPMC Enterprise, UPMC International, UPMC Health Plan, Work Partners. We actually have 17 subsidiary organizations under UPMC. And so I make it my business to get out and meet with those leaders, understand what their buying needs are, to, again, further expand our role and representation. You may be aware that certain supplier diversity programs have to deal with supply chains that are not centralized. So you have, instances where there's bifurcated purchasing. You as that supplier diversity leader need to, number one, figure out that strategy on how you're going to approach those other silos of procurement. And hopefully your immediate supervision is helping to support you in that relationship development. And then once you have that relationship, how are you adding value to the issues and concerns that they need? One of our major tenets is, recognizing the national conversation around healthcare costs. So how are we talking to our vendors about the challenges that we have as an organization and bringing them in to help provide solution development? So those are just a couple of highlight tidbits that I would offer to our young and burgeoning supplier diversity leaders and programs.
Wow, thank you for that. So, Adrian, how are you working with larger suppliers and distributors to support your supplier diversity program?
So I love this question because as a sourcing professional, this is my bread and butter. This is what I do every day. And I think, to build on George's earlier point, it really starts at the cultural level. Supplier diversity is not just a goal that we think about once a quarter and we check if we're meeting those targets. It is a conversation we have with every single supplier that we have, whether they're diverse or not. It's part of our standing agenda in our business reviews. It is something that we have in our contract language. We've added exhibits around tier 2 reporting in terms of keeping our certificates up to date. And it's a lot of investment in people to really make sure that we're all singing from the same hymn book, using the same talking points as we're going to the vendor community. Because when you have a system of our size, I can't be in every conversation, and our diversity team can't either. And I think that George made an excellent point with that. And so it really starts from the top, and we have to bring every single individual that has any kind of relationship with the vendor community to be talking about this stuff, because it's important. So a couple of things that we've done to really try to move the ball forward with some of our larger suppliers is, first and foremost, really identifying those strategic suppliers that we can leverage to help contract with diverse suppliers. So in the design and construction space, we have an incredibly aggressive goal around investment in diverse firms. We have contractual obligations with some of our biggest suppliers, including our distribution partner, also Owens & Minor, around ensuring that we're investing in diverse suppliers and also reporting out tier 2. That specific situation, we've actually had substantial success with Owens actually bringing us new opportunities and new diverse suppliers to our door to really help solve our business problems and really help us build resiliency within our own supply chain. I'd also call out, we leverage our GPO relationship. So we're part of the Premier Network. Seeds is a program that we can help prop up diverse suppliers that would like a larger reach and more education around how to do business in the healthcare space and really expand their business. And then I'd also say that I mentioned portal. I really won't go into that too much, but I will say that making sure that you're carving out time to really talk about the goals and needs that you have with your business, but also talking to your internal network. So if we have a diverse supplier that is looking to expand, we have those relationships with large capital partners, with distribution networks to really help make those connections with those suppliers that we choose to invest with. And then I'd say this, tier 2 can be a tricky conversation. As was stated earlier today, some hospital systems have programs, some do not. Some large multinational corporations have supplier diversity programs and some do not. And, we have drawn a line in the sand from an Advocate Health perspective that says, if you do business with us in a substantial way, which we define as over $1 million, which for a system of our size is a pretty low bar, we expect you to report back to us your tier 2 and how you're investing in our community. Because at the end of the day, we need to have aligned goals with the suppliers that we do business with. And I have had a litany of one-on-one conversations with many, many, many suppliers around our expectations on tier 2. And by the time it gets to me, it's an accountability call. And I think that, that can be uncomfortable for some suppliers, but ultimately it's incumbent on us as leaders in healthcare to make sure that we're pushing the needle in this fashion and making sure that we're all using our collective voice to push the industry in this direction. And so, and I'm happy to say that, for the most part, we have had vendors who, initially were very resistant to investing in this kind of program come forward with a program to support this cause after having conversations about it. Because I think that, it gets back to how can we continue to invest in the communities we serve, because that is our job in healthcare.
Thank you. And I know that we are running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to ask Todd to just give us a quick answer one more question, and then I'm going to open it up to the audience to ask some questions. So, Todd, my question for you is, for supplier diversity programs, where do you think they're going? What would you like to see differently in the future of supplier diversity programs? Oh, you're on mute, Todd.
You're on
Oh,
mute, Todd.
okay.
That's okay.
All right, there we go. All right, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
All right, great. We have seen, the challenges this year, right? The unfortunate challenges against our supplier diversity program. So the first thing I would like to say about what we need to do in the future is be overly intentional, right? And double down on our commitments and also innovate the way we do supplier diversity and how we engage the work. I think, in the supply diversity space, as we've all seen, as we all grown our programs, even for that program starting up, the work must stretch beyond your head of supplier diversity. It must stretch beyond senior leadership. It has to be a commitment. It has to be a cultural value. And it's something that needs to be a part of every check and balance and playbook, honestly, and procedure. We at Kaiser Permanente, one of the things we've started to do as we convene and develop new projects, and one I'm really excited about is a development coming up in the Watts market, and I'll just talk about it quickly because we haven't taken the ribbon off the building yet, but we are partnering beyond supply diversity, starting to look at community benefit as a total for our new projects that are being developed and also through their operational life. For instance, in Watts, we went into a community in Watts to where we had a young childhood development and learning center. And this neighborhood did not have a medical office building in that general area of town. So they would have to travel miles and to get to the nearest healthcare facility. We made a decision, and this decision was made during the pandemic, and this project moved forward to where just now in a couple of months, we worked in that local community with community leaders. We partnered with a church across the street from our learning facility that was on the border of closing due to the challenges of the pandemic. Allowed them to be engaged in the process, and they were able to work with our GC partner to lease space and then brought that church back. We're fully renovated, where we worked and took a firehouse in the community that was deploring and brought it back as a community center. And now we're going to be opening a very impressive $1 billion medical office building in that community, in the middle of the community. It's not only going to work with early childhood development, but provide the medical needs to that community. And I'm just doing that as an example to say, not only did we set forth to do a goal, but I think this work, we have to look beyond the dollar spend and making those dollars work, but also look how we can engage and bring the community along and other assets in the community. So I think that's just one of the key innovations we have to do is just to dig deeper on the work, pull in new allies across the organization, but double down with our community partnerships to not only hit the spend goals, but to be a true advocate and partner in the local community and an investor in the community.
Community is so important. And, the work that you guys are doing, all of you are doing in your communities is so impressive. I'd like to invite the audience to ask some questions if you have any at this time. If you could just use your reaction button and raise your hand. Damon Ferguson.
Good morning, all. I'll go with Mr. Robinson. As far as UPMC, what are some of the stepping stones that agencies use to onboard with UPMC? And before you answer that, I'm saying in the diversity space, because I know sometimes the procurement office will send you straight to maybe a voicemail or email address, and sometimes it kind of goes into a black hole.
Yeah. So one of the things Tony Silva used to tell me when I was the manager of supplier diversity, she was the senior director, is, why do you keep calling these folks back? It's just so many. And I recognized that it was very important for me to change the culture, that we have somebody on our team that literally touches base with the vendor, whether it's Zoom, Teams, a phone call back. Because I realize as a former and current MBE, the importance of that relationship. So yes, while UPMC has a supplier diversity and inclusion web portal, we're on our third version. We have dedicated that web portal and all of that activity around diverse vendor setup, organization development. Yes, we have a web portal. Yes, that web portal is reviewed daily. We actually have a supplier diversity analyst that reviews those incoming registrants. And then our manager is tasked with outreach to those diverse vendors as she reviews the a monthly forecast reports. So we actually receive basically a 24-month window outlook of what we're going to be buying. And as we look across those opportunities, not only are we challenging our supply chain assets that have those opportunities to go into the web portal, we have doubled down on pushing information to our supply chain buyers and other registrants within the web portal, where we're pushing information out of the web portal across those vendors that match up with those buying opportunities. So we have that direct outreach, and then we have that internal conversation of which our manager is leading. Hopefully that answers your question.
It does. It does. Okay. And Mr. Gray, I know Kaiser is huge. I mean, huge. How do you guys funnel which agency actually gets business and which ones kind of fall to the wayside? How does that, who handholds the agency to the direct hire events and those type of deals? And I think you're muted.
And I just want to make sure I have the question correct.
Okay.
So from a procurement perspective, you're asking internally with internal stakeholders who makes the decision and the process of doing so? That's correct. Okay, great. Yeah, we work directly. So we also, not only do we source directly, and that's 100%, we manage that in-house from a capital construction perspective and also across our facilities. We also are partners of our GPO, which is Vizient, who manages a very significant category and portion of our spend around med surg and medical supplies and equipment. But we also have our in-house procurement teams who are part and tied in with our impact spending group. One of the ways we assure that we're keeping the traction and making sure diverse suppliers are going into those funnels, not only auditing all of those procurement tracks, but also in the policy and procedure, making the requirements that diverse suppliers are included. And I was mentioning earlier, one of our most intentional initiatives that we've been working on over the last couple of years is targeting those firms that have had zero to no spend, but have been registered with us for some time. Though we've been greatly successful in penetrating and growing our diversity spend over and over and each and every year, we want to continue to bring in those firms who are registered and not just let them sit there from a count perspective, but really find opportunities to engage them and get them in front of opportunities that are coming down the pipeline. But we manage many different categories, even outside of the scope of providing direct healthcare, where we operate a school of medicine, and we have other programs where we're out in the community just doing education and community development. So we make sure that our policies overlap every single opportunity that reaches back to our procurement, but also making sure we're partnering indirectly with those organizations, our advocacy groups who can help us reach to the market as well. Okay. And finally, Ms. Ainsworth, how do you guys juggle joint commission certified agencies along with being NMSDC certified as well?
So just so I understand, so having, are you asking with our diverse supplier community, how do we make sure that we're extending our requirements in?
That is correct.
Okay. Got it. From a regulatory perspective. So, because we are recently merged, we fortunately or unfortunately are both with Joint Commission and DNV, depending on the site. So in our, when we do sourcing events, typically my team, which is centralized, procurement and sourcing is completely centralized now. That is part of the RFP process. So as we reached out to all vendors, including our diverse suppliers that participate in a specific category, we would include requirements by market if they are different from a regulatory perspective, to help ensure that whatever contract we're sourcing for matches the policies and procedures that we have throughout the market, even though some sites may be different than others depending on which regulatory body they're with.
Like NAIC codes and that type of thing.
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Damon. I'm going to
Thank
let
you.
Alan Ehrlich. I'm sorry, Alan. Sorry about that. You're on mute, by the way.
No problem. Everybody always mispronounces or misspells my last name, so no worries. My whole life.
And it's hard to see when it's so small.
I appreciate George explaining. There's a supplier inclusion web portal. So I wanted to ask the same question for Todd at Kaiser. My company, our supplier, it's called SW Sustainability. We're up in Union City. It's a women-owned, diverse, small business, minority-owned supplier up in Union City, and trying to understand and navigate Kaiser. Like, I know they work with Vizient, but where do you even start, or how do we get going as a diverse women-owned supplier? So I've joined this company and working with them, and I guess that's kind of the million-dollar question: is how do we get going?
Absolutely. And what I'll do is I'm going to give you my email address, and I'm sure they'll have the contacts as well. But I'll follow up with you, get you all the information where to register with us, but go further than that and understand more about your business and how it can connect you with an appropriate stakeholder. But my email is todd.a.gray@kp.org.
Everybody took that down, right?
todd.a.gray@kp.org. And please email me and I'll make sure we get time scheduled.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all. So I want to just ask the panelists one more quick question before we leave, and we'll end on this right on time. So if, as the audience walks away from this panel discussion, what's the one thing that you would like them to walk away with? What's the one piece of information? And I'll start with George.
So very quickly, and this is piggybacking on what Todd Gray had mentioned about expanding the scope and horizon for supplier diversity professionals. One of the spaces that we're focused on, and we're challenging our diverse vending community to expand their recognition, are the post-Supreme Court of the United States decision with respect to diverse admissions in higher education, and how some of the triggers across certain states are beginning to impact supplier diversity rules and regulations. I would encourage everyone to heighten their awareness. UPMC has actually been meeting with our legislators that represent the districts where we're located for 4 years to help guide legislation within the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to continue to support diverse vendors, both at the state level as well as in the private sector, because that's where a lot of these cases are starting to impact at the private level. Please increase your knowledge and awareness of those rules and regulations in the state in which you're functioning, because once those change, the entire environment of supplier diversity changes.
That's a really good point. So everyone should get involved and learn more about their state and local governments. So what's going on there? And Adrian.
So I think for me, the bottom line I'd like this group to take away is really creating that executive and organizational buy-in. So creating a goal that can be pushed out throughout the organization, and even better if it can be tied to incentives or merit around investing in supplier diversity initiatives. Create the goal and create accountability around it, and really kind of that connect to purpose at every level that touches the supplier community will help make sure that you're successful.
I like that. Create the goal and the accountability with your executive teams and get their buy-ins for sure. Todd.
Yeah, I would add advocate. We have to partner as supply diversity leaders, procurement leaders, and business owners, right? against some of the things. We talked about the legislative challenges to grow this work and to make sure we stay on offense. So we have to put our advocate hats on and be partners in that work. And also just challenge, the sheroes and the heroes who are the business owners. You go out every day and you seek opportunities with corporations and organizations like ours, but also, continue to look across the room and see how you can partner and build strategic alliances and follow some of the new models of procurement and understand how you can still drive your business forward, but also how laterally you can partner and create new entities that allow you to be even more competitive in the market. And then last, stay involved with HSDA. This is where the work happens. We can partner here together. We can learn from you. We can sharpen our programs. But most importantly, we want to work together to make an impact. So this is all stay involved and get the work done.
I love that. So stay involved. Join HSDA if you're not involved in a member already. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the panelists. I appreciate your input. I know we didn't get through all the questions that we prepared for, but I think this was a great conversation. So thank you all. Back to you, Deborah.